Welcome back to Between Two Racks with the Kilo Crew, +1. This week's episode, we have a special guest, Christian LaValle, here to join us, the president of Metabolic Elite. Christian, thank you for being here with us today. To get us started, a lot of our viewers might have heard your last name, but a few of them might not know who you specifically are. We've mentioned your father, James LaValle, on our podcast before, but for us, we're so excited to have you here today. I know the topics are going to kind of jump all over the place, but to get started, I want you to introduce yourself to our listeners who mostly are trainers and coaches, and tell a little bit about yourself as well as what you're doing with Metabolic Elite.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys having me. I know this has been a long time coming, getting down here to Kilo. So my name is Christian LaValle. I have a master's in human performance. I was a Division I athlete, had a neck injury, took me out of playing Division I football. Then I transitioned to the strength and conditioning side of things. I was a graduate assistant for a couple years, and I was also a research assistant in an amazing lab at Texas Tech. And then in that time of doing my master's, my dad was like, "Do you want to run this company?" And I was like, "Yes, 100%." And so the last 6 months of my master's, while I was also being a GA and an RA, I was provisioning at the time like our launch. So I was doing 6 months of pretty much all back end work to get Metabolic Elite ready to go and ready to launch. So that was a big undertaking at that time. And somebody gave me a really good piece of advice because I do have a huge passion for coaching. I love being in collegiate strength and conditioning. Somebody was like, hey, coaching will always be there. Like that'll never go away. Strength conditioning will never go away. But this opportunity that you have with your dad to do something really special and work with a lot of amazing coaches will not always be there. So I took that really to heart and was like, okay, I'm going to go all in on this. As long as I continue to keep my coaching education like throughout the business sort of journey and, just surround myself with amazing coaches and just continue to learn on that side of things, I feel like I should be able to pick it up again pretty quick once I get to a point in my life.
Probably with a lot more knowledge as well.
Yeah, where I can, well, that's the thing is with coaching, there comes business side of things too, right? That a lot of people don't understand. Like you have to run a business and coach. Like, so learning that side of things has, I think, been super valuable. And just developing as a young entrepreneur, so it's been a crazy journey up to this point.
So how long has it been that you started with?
Oh man, Metabolic Elite. It's been going 2 years in April already. Yep. It's unreal. Yeah. It went by so fast. Yeah.
And when you guys decided that you were going to start Metabolic Elite, what was the main mission? Because as we know, there's a lot of supplement companies out there, but Metabolic Elite does definitely differentiate itself strongly in the market. So what was your mission going into it?
So I guess that'll go into sort of the back story of why Metabolic Elite was even started. Mm-hmm. So some people are familiar. My dad, Jim LaValle, he's formulated for a lot of companies over the years. Thorne, Zymogen, Metagenics, Numedica, some of the Poliquin stuff, helped you guys formulate some stuff at one point in time. And he was like, I think I'm ready to, make my own thing. And but there was one stipulation. He didn't want to come to market with something that is already out there. Like we didn't want to be a copycat brand. We didn't want to be a foundational brand. There's a lot of companies out there that do amazing work, Designs for Sport, ATP Labs. There's a lot of companies out there that do really, really good supplementation. And we started putting this sort of Avengers team together, I guess you could say, on our board of advisors of a bunch of coaches that have been educated by my dad over the last, I think like 10 years. Cal Dietz, Mike Potenza, Kevin Neild. We got Tim Karen on our board now. And then my dad and I are all a part of it. And we wanted to come to market with something that's actually going to move the needle in performance and move biomarkers and, a product line that athletes are going to come back to the coach and go, hey, I noticed the difference when I take these things. So long story short, we met our partner with the LipoTab technology. His dad is the one who invented the delivery system and got my dad connected with them. one thing leads to another. We're like, oh, it's a marriage made in heaven, amazing partner. And next thing you know, we're coming to market with, these chewable lipo tabs that are really, really revolutionizing the way we're able to deliver nutrients, instead of a capsule or, liquid, things like that. So, it was about, I think, 2-3 years of, figuring out what our mission was going to be. And, we wanted to come to market and be a beyond foundational thing, supplement company where we have really, really targeted interventions and really, really targeted products for specific roadblocks that we see that a lot of other companies aren't either addressing or they just don't have the ability to address. And then also provide education as well, because we all know it's really important to develop that side of things as well. And like we were talking about before the podcast, teaching coaches how to integrate, make it a full system, not just like look at things in silos, like look at the supplementation and various times of the training cycle. What should you be looking at in the blood work? What are the sports science? What's the data see? And how do you all mesh that together? And we're really excited we're launching an education platform here soon, in the next, I would say, couple months, to where that's where we're going to have our podcast sort of. We'll do a couple courses. We did that Elite Minds seminar last August. That'll be on there. So we're excited for it. We think we're going to make some waves.
And then just so our listeners who may not know, regarding the liposomal tabs, if you want to talk a little bit about that technology, because I know I've heard you speak on it in terms of, because obviously they're chewable, all the products, and if you just want to go over the benefits.
Yeah, so we were able to find a way to keep our particles under 100 nanometers, which is, for layman's terms, they're really, really small. So anything under 100 nanometers gets freely absorbed across the cell membrane. So they developed the technology on the pharmaceutical side to deliver smaller doses of pain medication than also oncology drugs for decreased risk of toxicity and then side effects as well. So for some reason, there's a long story, got pulled off of the pharma side of things. I think somebody tried to steal the tech or something like that. And then now we're in the place where we're able to utilize that same technology with dietary supplements. So basically you chew it up, those active ingredients start to get absorbed as you're chewing it in your mouth. So you get the lymph absorption, you get the micellular and the buccal absorption of the product before it even gets to your stomach. And that's really like brass tacks. That's why it's so valuable. Particles are really small. You're absorbing it buccally through your mouth. There's a lot of other things around it, like why are like parts of the things that are patent, the structure of the liposome, some of the process. There's a lot of things we could get into, but really just the fact that our liposomes are stable until the date of expiration. That's one of the big things with liquid liposomes. That's an issue, is the longer they sit on the shelf, the bigger the particles get. They start to agglomerate in the bottle. So yeah, we just tackled a stability issue in the liposomal delivery system realm. And then, like I said, just really, really small particles that we're able to get, absorbed.
So it doesn't even get to the stomach, really.
Yeah. Majority of it gets absorbed before. We're in the process of doing some bioavailability studies, and we're doing some brain scan studies with Synapsin right now. All that's getting provisioned to start here soon, which we're really excited about, because pretty transparent, which we'll find out through the rest of the podcast. We have the studies on the raw material that we use, really, really high quality raw material. We have those studies. We have the data on our LipoTab technology. We do all the electron microscopy, spectroscopy. We get all of our liposomes analyzed before we even use them by a lab out in California that's been doing liposome analysis for like 25 years for pharmaceutical companies. And our liposomes grade higher than like what a perfect score is on like a pharmaceutical liposome test, which is pretty cool. The guy was like, I've never seen this happen before. So we're really proud of the technology on that side of things. And but we don't have the research yet on them together. And that's, unfortunately, when you come out with something new, you live in that period of where people are telling you it's working really well. We have a lot of data. We talk to our doctors. We have athletes that are loving it. Our coaches are utilizing it. Unbelievable feedback across the board on all the products. But now we're at that stage where, okay, we need to take it to the next level and start doing studies on our product. How much more are they getting absorbed? We know that there's a range with the oral liposome technology from some data that's been published previously, and sort of we can make some really good educated guesses and inferences on how much more we think it's getting absorbed. But we can't make any claims on that until we get a study done. So we're working towards that to get some studies to really hit home on how much more they're getting absorbed, how much are they moving biomarkers in regards to like a traditional, capsule product. So we're excited for that.
Because of the small particle in the delivery system, it allows you guys to use less dosage of the active ingredient and get like the same benefit.
Yes, exactly.
So that's pretty cool, because then you can cut on the cost of the product, but also on any like potential like side effect of overdoing certain compounds that sometimes can lead to gastric distress or things like that. So it's pretty cool in that sense.
Yeah, and we have a couple that, like the EGCG, our Viraxall.
Love that one.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like, I think that's our most underrated product that we sell. But high doses of that really, high percentage extract, the 94% EGCG, and higher doses can cause some gastric upset. Same thing with berberine. We have the Glut4 that you don't chew. Don't chew that one, because berberine tastes horrible. Please tell people to swallow that one. We're not trying to be like torture.
Read the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. Read the bottle, please. Don't email me saying this product tastes like crap. I know
That's
it
still
does.
gonna happen.
Yeah, I know it is. But those were two that have that exact reason. We're able to use less in the actual dose and get the same effect that we would at the traditional, efficacious dose. Another one's our Tetra, the curcumin.
Yep.
Like our dose, you look at it, it's like that shouldn't do anything. But every single person we give it to goes, I'm never using another curcumin. Like, I actually feel better. We had multiple executives at Lifetime that were like, man, this isn't going to do anything, Give it to them. They're like, man, I feel it. I actually feel it. And curcumin's one of those ones where you have to give so much of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people don't really notice the difference when they're on it and when they're off. It may move some stuff in the blood work, but, when you can actually get people to feel different, I think that says, the buy-in is way bigger. And that's been something that we've been able to do consistently with our products for sure.
This
Tetra Cure, like taste with supplements, I don't really care. Like growing up in the 90s, supplements tasted like shit. But Tetra Cure is pretty spicy, man.
It is spicy.
It has that bite.
Some people love it, and some people are like, it's okay. I just put up with it, but it's not as bad as the Glut4, I will say. But a lot of people. I think the Tetra Cure and the Viraxall are the two, because the Viraxall's a little bitter. But
I guess I like bitter.
Yeah.
That's what they think.
People get used to it really quick, and they don't care because the effects of it are profound in a lot of
and
people.
It's like 20 seconds of chewing.
Yeah, well, you know what I do? I do tell people, if you're taking the Tetra Cure, if you take it with like Synapsin, or you take it with one of the or Glutathione or one of the other more mild ones, it cuts down the spice a little bit. So because the other ones just taste like Pez. They taste like unflavored, like
because the
chalk.
Enduro2 is the one that tastes
That's
like
the lemon.
Yeah,
that's real. That's pretty
tastes
tart.
like candy.
That's another one that people are.
Everyone just needs to
Yeah.
put up if you're getting the benefits of what you want from it.
I think the Enduro tastes good.
Yeah,
Tastes
no,
like lemon,
me too.
A little refreshing, but that's one that people notice on their first dose.
Yep.
And I've
I love training on
I've
that
never
one.
seen a product work that well, like that quickly.
And what do they notice specifically?
Took it this morning before cardio.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that.
It's just you're able to go
Yeah.
longer.
That's
Like
what
you're-
I was taking when I did my Euro Shred last year. Like I took it every
Yeah.
pre-workout. Makes
Yeah.
such a difference.
Because it increases the amount of oxygen your muscle tissue is able to utilize. And it's a extract from rhodiola. So, and it's basically a supercharged adaptogen. So in rhodiola, it's typically standardized to 3% solidroside, which is like the active compound that's within rhodiola. This is a 98% solidroside extract from France. And they did a study in cyclists and athletes from South Alabama. It's an amazing study. We have it posted on our blog, so feel free to go check it out. I never am good at like citing specific things from study because I read a lot of them. But they saw like aerobic capacity went up. Their stress response, like their ability to recover, was better just because of the increased amount of oxygen in the muscle tissue. And then obviously indirect VO2 max increase, things along those lines. So you basically are getting a adaptogen on steroids with that. And we have some amazing data from Cal at Minnesota with some HRV increases in his athletes. So like as much as like 20 points on the HRV are going up. So HRV is one of those things where, it's very individualized, and one of those things where you can some coaches put more weight into it than others just because of how it's measured and things along those lines. But we've gotten some amazing results with a couple of our coaches just on the stress response side of things with the enduro, in addition to the aerobic adaptation that you're able to make with it.
This might be a first one for you. So I love the Viraxall. One, for the immune support, but also I call it my this isn't going to sound good, but like my party support. So whenever we were at Miami Music Week earlier this year, and I actually take it because you're going for hours and hours dancing, trying to just support your immune system. And I've used it now every time I've done that, and I love it. But obviously, it also, with that one, you're also oxidizing the brown fat, correct, more efficiently?
Yeah, that's one of the secondary benefits of it.
Okay.
There's some studies on body comp with the EGCG, but we see more of a profound response in some of the data that we saw on the antiviral side of things and the immune response. So we market it more as an immune response. But on our white paper and on some of the assets that we have, there is a secondary effect on the body comp side of things. That dose is a little bit higher if you want to get that effect. Like we'll tell people to take, 3 or 4 a day instead of just 2. For the body comp effects. But yeah, that's definitely a plus.
So
that's a plus.
Take 3 or 4 and get shredded during Miami.
Well, and then we need enduro too on top of it.
Oh yeah, we got our stack.
Well, another one of our party week, I guess, supplements would be the glutathione. That one is.
I'll push that messaging for you. You don't have to do
No,
that.
the glutathione is another amazing one that traditionally. Oral glutathione, like reduced glutathione, doesn't do anything in a capsule. And, we touched on there's liquid liposomal glutathione, but then, you have the inherent instability issues of the liquid liposomes. We have an amazing white paper on our website looking at, hey, what's the difference between our LPTs and like a traditional liquid liposomal product? And it lays it all out for you, like really great. So if anybody's wants to go deeper into that, just go on the website, hit the white paper, and it'll explain it all for you. But we use S-acetyl glutathione, which is a branded ingredient. That alone already absorbs better, but there is still a little bit of variability in that form. We think it's the best one on the market as far as the branded ingredient glutathione side of things. But then you put that S-acetyl glutathione in the liposomal technology, it increases the bioavailability of it even more. So we've been getting some amazing blood work results with our glutathione on liver enzymes coming down, and that's in comparison to like an IV glutathione or intramuscular glutathione, and not making any claims here, but we did do a study on vasoactive intestinal peptide, which is for a lot of chronic inflammatory response syndrome patients at my dad's clinic. We did a study through one of our practitioner colleagues, and we were able to get the same amount of absorption with a LPT, vasoactive intestinal peptide chewable, as an IV VIP. Wow. So not direct correlation to the glutathione, obviously, but we're confident that, the glutathione is in the chewable is getting absorbed really well.
Going back to a few more of the products, because I know we'll move on to some other outside of it. But I know personally earlier this year I had a small tendon tear, and I reached out to your dad to ask what I should do regarding the Metabolic Elite, and it was the BPC 157, Tetra Cure, and KPV products. And that's what I think is really cool with your line, because a lot of them are made to stack together, and then you have protocols that serve a specific purpose. So that's kind of regarding the products. And then another product we use a lot is the Synapsin.
Yep.
So we started with the Synapsin RG3 spray. So obviously now with the Synapsin tabs, it's a lot more convenient. And then even with the RG3 spray for Steph, randomly he'll just get these crazy sneeze attacks.
Me too. I'm the same way. I'm the same way. And that happened. Not everybody gets it. Obviously, you guys have all used it.
And then you're sneezing pink.
Yeah, it's pink. Yeah, people are like, "What the heck is going on?"
And then you're snorting. You were like,
"Yeah."
But the problem is that you cannot blow your nose, because then you're getting out. It's going out of your system. That's how I feel. Anytime I do the nasal spray and I start to sneeze, I'm like, no.
That's funny. Okay, so there you go. Yeah. You're not the only one.
Yeah, but that was the main, that was the first product that we looked at to put into the liposomal tech. That was cool. What we did the original R&D on was the RG3, and it worked perfect. It's funny, our manufacturer, the guy who owns the technology, he was just picking them off of the line. He ate 3 of them, and he called my dad on the way home. He's like, I feel like a fighter pilot. He's like, I think it worked. And the reason why we did it was because of the accessibility of.
Well, not everyone wants to stick something.
Well, and it's just you have to keep it refrigerated. With the nasal spray, can't travel with it. So we thought that was going to be a huge value to make that product more accessible to more people because of how profound the effects are on cognitive function.
How do you choose between the two?
So right now, what we've been seeing is usually it's individualized. So some people respond better to just the RG3. Some people respond better to the RG3 and the RB1, which is the Synapsin Pro. So it's very individualized. I like the Pro. A couple of our coaches on our board like the normal one, which is a little hard. It stinks because it's a little hard for athletes, and say somebody wants to use it on a team. You have to do a little bit of a testing period to figure out which one the athlete responds better to. But we're really excited. We're doing some amazing stuff with NeuroCatch, which is a brain scan. They have a cap that you put on. They're able to measure a lot of things like cognitive processing, reaction time.
Can they do it through this?
I would assume. I think so.
It's going to go a little flat.
Yeah, but they did some initial sort of testing with it, and they already are seeing some really interesting results. So we're really excited to sort of formalize our study with them and see exactly, how the synapsin is affecting your brain. So we're really excited for that.
What I think is cool is the Synapsin spray I've been using since I think 2017, and I really liked it. It's one of my favorite compounds. And when I tried the liposomal tab that you guys came up with, I legit have the exact same effect. Yep. So to me, it was by default right away. It was an easy buy-in to the technology because I felt it, So it's pretty powerful.
That's one thing that people have continued to tell us that have used the Synapsin nasal spray before, because that was approved for compound at 5,000 compounding pharmacies and been used for quite some time now. And a lot of people are similar to you. They're like, I get the same thing. Another sort of feather in our cap on the delivery system, to where you really are getting that systemic absorption, through the mouth, similar to, intranasally. So it's the Synapsin, I think, there's going to be a time right now. It's popular, but I think there's going to be an inflection point here soon where a lot of people start to try it and they're like, holy crap, like there's nothing like this on the market. Because I don't even consider it a nootropic. Like that's not the mechanism. It basically is helping your brain come back to baseline. I'd say it's like a fire extinguisher to a bonfire in people's brain, because everybody's so sympathetic dominant. You got environmental burden. You got all these things that are affecting, you got immune brain axis. There's so many things affecting, cognitive function. And I look at it more as like a longevity compound for your brain. It helps you just focus a little bit better. You're not going to have like the horse blinder, like Adderall type focus. Like it just helps you be more present in what you're doing. And it's really great for, concussion protocol. And there's a really a wide variety of applications for it. So we're really excited because we think that product's going to really create some major movement. Eventually, we got to get a little bit more marketing dollars, and the whole business side of thing comes into play there. But we're really excited for that product.
No, like the first time I ever took it, I swore I could see sound waves. Like it was just one of those things that like something just clicked on. You're like, okay, something's different here, and your just ability to tune in and focus in, it's crazy. So no, it's a great product.
Yeah, and we have a lot of our hockey coaches are using it for like skill acquisition periods. So Mike will use it, and they had one guy who was struggling with face-offs. He started giving him his Synapsin, 15 minutes before his like face-off period. Next thing you know, his face-off percentage is going up. He's able to, focus on what he's doing. We have a lot of, long range shooters, boxers, UFC guys, some basketball players during their shooting sessions, will take it. So anything regarding skill acquisition is an amazing time to take it, because you don't get a heart rate response. You don't get the stimulatory effect of like a pre-workout or anything. Yeah, everybody lives on stimulants now anyway. We're all drinking coffee, and people are in a constant state of like sympathetic dominance in today's world because of, stress and just screens and, everybody's cortisol, diurnal rhythm is off. Like, so being able to take something that's not going to jack you up, but keep you in a really focused state of mind, I think is really valuable. So you don't reach for that afternoon, energy drink or that afternoon coffee. So it's super valuable.
Yeah, because even like there's a lot of research now coming out that creatine's really useful during skill acquisition. So I can see Synapsin just being like steps above that, because like obviously everyone could take creatine no matter what, but like Synapsin would really just double down on that training effect.
Yeah, and I think, I don't want to say Synapsin's been one of the harder ones we've had to market. I think it's just that all of our products require a great deal of education to the consumer, or let's say a dietitian or a performance lead. So that's one thing that we really are proud of, is our ability to educate, other coaches and, the consumer on, hey, why this is valuable. Here's all the research we have, here's our white papers, here's our monographs on the actual raw materials and how they can influence your performance. And, I would say just high performing, people that really prioritize, their health. You don't have to be an athlete to use our products. I think that's one sort of misconception about our brand. And I think that's partly our fault because of how we started out the messaging, like elite performance. You don't have to be an athlete to get benefits from our products. We have people use it at my dad's clinic all the time. Everyday people use it. Yeah, exactly. Like everybody can benefit from our products. You don't have to just be an elite athlete or a high performer to use our stuff. I think that kind of shot ourselves in the foot a little bit on that, but we're really, really focusing to like adjust our messaging and adjust the education. And Synapsin's one of those things where people are like, oh, it's too good to be true. No way, no way. I'm like, just try it. Like I'll send you a bottle. Like I will send you a sample. I'll send you a bottle. Just try it. if you don't notice it on your first dose, you'll notice it within the first week of using it. And to tell people that you'll notice it within a week, they're like, you're that confident? I'm like, yeah, I am. And that's one thing that I get a lot as a president is like, hey, when can I start noticing the effects? Obviously, I don't like to overpromise and underdeliver. So I usually say within the first month, a lot of people will notice the effects of our products before that. Yeah.
Regarding the using of your products, so is it something where you need to like cycle on and off, or can you continuously use most of them?
You can continuously use majority of them. The two that we like to cycle is the BPC 157 and the KPV. We usually tell people to do that for like 8 to 12 weeks, come off of it, see how you feel, and then if you need to do more of it again, because a lot of the times you're using those two for a specific reason, whether it's soft tissue repair, recovery. KPV is really amazing for supporting your gastrointestinal health, really great for gut tissue, and then also the BPC, it's just great to support an inflammatory response. So those two are the ones that we usually will tell people to cycle on and off of. Same with the Enduro. The Enduro you can take for long periods of a time, but you still want to be able to adapt aerobically without it. So like we have people that will use it very strategically throughout the training cycles. Yeah. So that's how Cal and Mike, they use it very strategically, leading into season. So they'll do it 3 to 4 weeks preseason, or say they're going to play a game at altitude. They'll start supplementing with the Enduro 2 a couple weeks before they go to altitude. And then they'll come off of it because they feel like they're in really good aerobic shape, like going into the season. And then they may use it again mid-season when you kind of start to hit that wall. You have to start to be able to respond better to the stresses of being in season and things like that. So using the Enduro strategically is usually how we recommend. Everything else that we have, you can use pretty much as you want. I mean, the Viraxall, we tell people to, hey, if you feel like you're getting sick or you're going to travel or this, that, and the other, use it then. That's one that you don't have to take all the time. I like taking it all the time. But I mean, I get it it's hard when you get it for free.
But you're traveling a lot on top of it.
I've been using that and the Magicare. We also carry other products on our site too. Yeah. So we carry Wakanaga, the aged garlic extract. They white labeled 3 products for my dad. It's the first time they've ever done it. So we carry the aged garlic extract, the Kyolic, the Magicare, and then their probiotic under the Metabolic code label on our website. And people are like, "Oh, why are you carrying other products? Other brands' products?" It's like, well. We're family. Well, that's it. Like my dad's been lecturing for that company for 25 years all over the world. They're one of the biggest supplement companies in the world. And their products are just so core to what we do. They're core to our ethos as a company. We'll never make those products. Yeah. And same thing with the Revasca. We'll never make that. But we really believe in that product, that it does amazing things. And we have a great relationship with that company as well. So we try to help other brands as much as ourselves. So those are, and we'll only put things on our site if we really believe in it, and it's core to sort of like how we practice and how we coach and what we recommend. Just like I said, core to the ethos of the company.
I have a question in terms of protocol with BPC.
Yep.
So like the way I've been using it, and I just want to confirm that it makes sense, because the one thing I'm not sure is if there's a compounding effect when you use it for a longer period of time. But the way I see it, I like it as a preventative measure. So, for example, let's say you're doing a 12-week relative strength cycle. So, for 12 weeks, you're going heavy. And we like to use phase undulating. So we have accumulation intensification. So the intensification phases, the loads are like in a relative strength phase, like north of 85%. Yep. So would it be smart to use it for that 3-week period as a preventative measure for connective tissue? It needs more of a build-up.
100%. No, we have a lot of people that will use it that way. So Squattober just got done, with Sorinex. we had so many people that were taking it during Squattober because they were like, I need it for my connective tissue to help recover. I think that is an amazing use case. Obviously, if you're a tested athlete, don't take the BPC 157. Lots of disclaimers on the website. Read all the website. But no, we have a lot of coaches are using it that way for themselves. They're just a support, when they're really trying to push hard. And I think that's an amazing use case for it.
I'm just saying to you now, those emails and those questions never go away.
Oh, I know they don't. And it's only going to get worse.
All the replies saved.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because some people, I'm like, man, I'm so busy right now, and scaling a company, it's like, it doesn't get better. It only gets more busy. And I'm like, oh, no.
You get better at handling.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, hopefully we can hire some people here soon.
Well, now with AI, you'll be able to have
AI agents and all this stuff answer questions for me. But I will say, when I answer the phone myself, when I answer the emails myself, that holds so much weight with the customer. Mm-hmm. They're like, "Oh, you're the president. You're answering my customer service question, and you're answering the phone." I'm like, yeah, I am. So a lot of people value actually talking to a real person.
Yeah,
I would
cares
say.
about what they answer.
Cares
yeah.
and genuine. I eat, sleep, and breathe this company.
Yeah.
And anything that I'm doing with my dad, I have all my attention to that, because I love working with him. I love learning from him. Everything we do together is really exciting because a lot of people don't know. I get out and I do a lot for Metabolic Elite, obviously, because I'm the president, but I'm also involved with Metabolic Code, his other company. I'm involved at his clinic. I'm involved in his day-to-day meetings. I run a schedule, run a social media. There's a lot of things that we're doing together right now. And we're really excited for where everything's going on all fronts.
Yeah. I mean, what's good for you being the president is I've known your dad for 12 years, and I remember back in the days would talk to me about you, and you were 14 at the time or something, and you were already living it, the training, the nutrition, the supplementation. So you've been part of it basically your entire life. So it's kind of it weighs a lot on you guys' company to have you behind it,
Yeah, I agree, and that's I was patient zero. My entire life has been this. My mom's a dietitian. My dad does what he does. My entire life has just been, I don't want to say performance, but health conscious. I've always taken supplements. I lived, eat, slept, breathed this stuff my entire life, and I might not have been in it and reading textbooks and all that stuff when I was young. I was a kid, but I was subconsciously learning. Subconsciously learning it through my dad, listening to conversations that my mom and dad would have at dinner table when we have some of the best people in the country, just over our house for dinner. That's got taught how to hook grip and power clean in 7th grade from a Masters Olympian that was just friends with my dad, came over and teaching me all this stuff. And Charles came out and evaluated me when I was in 7th grade, which was pretty cool. And, just been around people like Cal Dietz and yourselves for my entire life, so it's been an amazing journey. And I definitely am lucky to have experienced the things that I have at, such a young, I'm only 26, and to be around the people that I get to, work with on a daily basis and just have community with and mentors. And it's unreal.
Was there ever a time with your parents, because your mom, you said, is a dietitian, and then you obviously have your dad. Was there ever a time you found yourself pushing back on what they were saying?
Were you a rebel?
No. Okay.
Yes, a little bit.
A little bit. Mainly, there'd be things that my dad would tell me to do. I'd be no, no, I'm not doing that. And then, he would tell one of his friends to tell me. And then I'd be like, oh, Dad, this guy told me to do this. He's like, I've been telling you that for 6 months, So, things like that where it's kind of...
I just heard your dad in that.
Yeah, I don't want to say, pushback, but more of just typical parent stuff, you know? And then when I got old enough to sort of reflect and look back, be like, okay, you had it made, on the performance side of things, because I had a lot of those habits that a lot of athletes look to build in college already done. I was already eating good. I was already doing the supplementation. But there's a caveat to that. I didn't adapt as fast in college because I already had such a good training age. I had a good training age. I had a lot of things that I was already doing. I had to work twice as hard to get the same adaptation as the people that just weren't doing anything and came in, and next thing you know, they're 20 pounds heavier. They're, you know,
were already
half,
at your
exactly. I was close to my ceiling, you know, and that. Do I think it would have made a difference in my journey? No, because I still had a neck injury. I still stopped. Like, there's all these things that you look back and sort of reflect on. I have had that conversation with Dave Scholes, like when I, after I got done playing, like I was like, hey, like we reflected on our relationship and like sort of where I was at in college, and I was closer to my ceiling than the other kids were, and that was hard because I had to do a lot more to get the same thing out of it. But looking back at it, it shaped me for running this company, and having that experience from such a young age is only helping me now. Yeah. So,
exactly.
I remember when I lived in St. Louis and we were training we were in a high performance center.
Yep.
I once evaluated a 17-year-old kid who played D tackle in high school that had never really strength trained. First time we did a 1RM test. He benched 385.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, like the ceiling on a kid like that, it's crazy.
Yep. And that's what I like. I think that's one thing that I look, now that I'm getting to the age where, you know, I want to start a family, all those things, like in my head, I'm thinking like, when do I expose it? Like, when is the right time to expose this stuff? Do I just let it happen naturally? Is it something that I want to kind of spoon feed at a certain point? And I think, with my experience, do I want to make sure they have good training principles and good movement patterns? Yes. Am I going to expose them to advanced training principles as young as maybe I had them? No. You know, so I think I have a lot of friends that are high school strength coaches, and I really just push on, like, just make them good movers. Like, college is going to get them right. College will get them right. Like, they'll put the mass on. They'll do all the right, like, they'll take care of them. Just make them good movers, good movement patterns, overall, good training principles, and if you do that, it's a success.
Yeah, like when I was growing up, my dad was somewhat of a legit athlete, and he never really taught me anything or any very advanced principles. But what he didn't let me do was win. So he always could find something. Until I was about 15, he could always beat me in something, and that's all he would ever do with me. So until I was about 14, it was strength training, and it was like running, it was distance running, and it was going to be all right, whatever distance he could beat me at. So that's the way I would go about it. Just crush any sense of value until you have no choice.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, it's
But it's also going to be like leading by example. You're going to eat well, so you're going to feed your kid like good food. You're going to train. They're going to, you know, it's 100%. Just like natural type of stuff.
And I think one thing that like my parents have always done an amazing job is preaching balance. You know, my dad walks the walk and talks the talk, but we also have balance. We have community. We have friends. We go have a couple drinks. You know, it's there. We have
I've had martinis with your dad.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, and some of the best conversations, the best relationships come from that. You know, I think the state of this industry is in a really interesting place right now because it's all about optimize over like it's not. A lot of the times it ends up doing the opposite of what you want it to do.
Like if you're stressed about optimizing, then
exactly. That's like if you're worried about eating that, you know, that burger, you know, and you're like, man, like that just set me back like all the it's like, no, you're okay. Like the stress that creates is more detrimental than just having the burger.
Exactly.
But that's an important point because like one thing that bothers me about that sphere is at the same time, to be a high-performing individual, don't you want to have resiliency?
Yep.
So that you can have that burger and then not
get
like
messed
up out of it.
Exactly.
Or not being able to sleep, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, like if you built yourself to be a strong, resilient person, you should be able to veer off every now and then and be fine with it.
Well, and that's like, we talk about this all the time. You know, you have to have those foundational rocks. Like, and if you get those, like, making sure your glucose regulations and like your cortisol, your stress response, your sleep, your diet, you have good eating windows, you have sense of purpose, you have community, good mental health. Though to me, if you can get majority of those under control, when you take that next step and do, the more advanced stuff, you're going to get so much better results when you take that next step into the advanced therapeutics and the advanced sort of like red light, all these things. You have to have an amazing foundation first, because you'll get so much more out of those things rather than just going, I'm not sleeping that great, but I just want to do the cool stuff. I just want to do the step 99 before I get the step 1 and 2. And we just see it all the time. People come in with a laundry list of stuff that they're doing. They have this, optimization system, this routine, that routine. And then we look at their blood work and it's still garbage, And once we fix a lot of the foundational stuff, they end up getting more out of those other things. Or it's like, hey, maybe let's take a few things out. Let's really focus on the root and like the foundational things first, and then go
but
there.
The problem is that people in this field get a lot of their education from podcasts. But podcasts, they're going to talk about that 1%.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about because
what sounds cool.
Yeah.
But that's why I think is such an issue is people get burnout because they're trying to do so much at once before they have that foundation.
Yep.
And then the finer details don't move the needle because they don't have that foundation in place. Then they get the burnout from trying nothing working because their sleep's not in place. They're not eating well. Like all of the basics aren't there. And then they just stop.
Yeah.
So then they make no progress.
100%. It's you see it all the time. It really is, I think, a big issue. I don't want to say an issue. It's just, I think it's where the culture's at. Like, how do I just do the newest, coolest thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite still is the people who'll go and lose 2 hours of sleep to get up to do their 3-hour long morning routine because that's what's going to set them up well for the day instead of actually sleeping. Recovering, preparing for the day like a normal fucking human being.
Yeah, I agree. And then they're like, well, I'm one of the people that only gets, I'm okay on 5 hours of sleep. I'm like,
are you
actually, or are you just telling yourself that? So, but there is a genetic snip for that, for people that don't need as much sleep, but it's rare. It is rare. We don't see it very often. I think that's one thing that we deal with on a daily basis. I have friends come to me too. They're like, dude, should I do peptide this, peptide that?
Are you drinking water?
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, you can't even make it to the gym 3 times a week, like on a consistent basis, and that's another one. Consistent training volume, consistent resistance training. Like, it's funny. You guys have known this forever, how valuable resistance training is, but now like
now it's
popular. The science is catching up, right? On like, having muscle mass is going to make you live longer. Yeah, no shit. Like, muscle mass is one of the biggest endocrine organs in your body. So it releases so many hormones and so many things and does so much good for your body. Don't get me wrong. Is there a critical cutoff point on muscle mass? Yes. 100%. Having too much can be bad.
Unnaturally, then it's definitely too much.
Exactly. So
we talk about it a lot on the podcast, and it almost goes back to what you were saying about your experience in training. And so we believe, and I think it's still really hard because everyone wants to do everything all at once. But taking it back to training, we always say minimum effective dose.
Yep.
Like, don't start with new clients in the first couple of years and start adding what we teach in our advanced courses to them. It's not for them. And one thing I've been around them for a while now, and retention is such a big part in training, and same with supplements, everything. You want to keep taking it, and retention is important in our industry. But when you have retention, that means you're keeping that client forever. So tell them that that's the goal, so you can use that minimum effective dose so that they have longevity in strength training, so that they don't stop, so that they can get all the true benefits of long-term training. Yeah,
and that term longevity just piqued just a thought in my head that we deal with on a daily basis. Everybody's worried about living to 120 and all these things. It's like, why not just be the best you can be right now? Like, I want to be the best 26-year-old I can be. Like, why don't you just try and be the best 65-year-old? Like, how do I have the most vitality in that current stage of life? Because 120 is not guaranteed. If you're religious at all, you know you don't, like, you have no control over when you go. Yeah. You know, it could be whenever. As long as you're doing the right things to be the best you can be in this moment and just take it one day at a time, like, I think that's one of the most important things you can do is just be where your feet are, be in the moment, be the best that you can be at 40, you know, or at 26 or whatever it may be.
Steph's coming in hot.
No, it's just, but like, the topic of living to 120 that's being pushed these days, like the one thing that I'm concerned with if I were to live to 120 is how the hell do I keep myself financially sound?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
In 70 years from now, like, shit's going to be expensive as hell. How am I going to make money at 115?
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. That's true. I didn't even think about that side of things. But, and not to mention, it costs a lot of money to do that. Like, that's the one thing that I think the anti-aging biohacking space is going to a certain, I don't want to say like elitist medicine, but you have to have money access, and access to those things that are really, really advanced. And the science is amazing. I will say, like, there's value in all of it. But, and the science, like I said, the science is amazing. But how do we like to say, how do we bring integrative, you know, medicine, and how do we bring the holistic approach and the things that my dad does, how do we bring that to the masses? How do we give access to that to everybody? Like, because it doesn't have to be,
because that's often the first thing people complain, it's too expensive. I can't do this. Yeah.
And how do you move the needle on people without having to go spend a ton of money? Don't get me wrong. Yes, supplements are expensive. Yes, good food is expensive, but those move the needle a lot when you're just getting started. Yeah. And if you're willing to invest in your health, like, instead of, you know, buying a new TV, like, invest that into your groceries or into your, you know, supplements, or go get blood work done or something like that. And that's one thing that I think my dad, like, there's a reason my dad has never increased his prices. Like, and he works with a lot of people, but he's like, I don't only want to work with people that have a lot of money. Like, I want to help everyday people, because he works with a lot of really sick cancer patients, like really, really intense situations. And he's like, why would I cut my services off from people, like, because they're already spending a ton of money at the hospital. They don't have a ton of extra money to spend on, you know, going and seeing somebody. So that's one thing that, you know, he's really passionate about, is like, we want to, I guess, like, democratize, you know, integrative medicine to more people, like, just give access to more people on being healthy. Because that's really a huge issue in this country. Obviously, we all know what's been going on in the U.S. as far as, you know, obesity, diabetes, all those things. And, like, if we can move the needle on the masses, like, that's going to be so, you know, really, really big. And that's where, you know, his metabolic code company comes in, and, you know, the things that we're provisioning, you know, with some really amazing partners within the next year or two, we're going to hopefully, you know, really be able to help a lot of lives out. And that's why he went, like, really ultimately to Lifetime, because he's like, I have the ability to impact millions of people here doing the same things that he's done for you guys as a patient. And I think that goes back to, you guys know that he's very big on, hey, your glucose still sucks. Like, you know, like, your cortisol still sucks. Like, we got to get these core things. We got to get the systems of systems working better, you know, because that's really, you know, I think it's so silent. Like, oh, a lot of people just look at one-to-one. We look to one-to-many, and, you know, and look at the systems of systems, because everything touches each other in your body. It's an amazing machine, you know. So.
When I first started with him, this was 12 years ago, I was taking so many supplements. And he was like, Alex, are you not tired of taking all the supplements? I'm like, yeah, but I need this for this and this for that. Yep. So then, you know, did my blood work. Like, I mean, at least half of what I was taking. And then all of a sudden it was like everything. Like, body comp really changed. Like, my mood, everything, just like by taking a lot less. But then you guys make it really hard though, because now with Metabolic Elite, I want to take everything again.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sorry.
We have to get on a call. Okay, so
I want to take all of it, but and that's I mean, it's hard because you just really have to be. You got to pinpoint. You got to be precise with what you're doing. Like,
well, just like in training, we can't hit everything at once.
Hypertrophy, fat loss, strength, this,
you
that.
You got to periodize your supplements with the stage of life you're in, what you're doing at the moment in the gym, all that stuff.
What the blood work shows. So that's, and I think the blood work analysis, like the technology, like in the health and wellness space, is just evolving every day. You see something new every day, and I think it's hard for the consumer to discern what is actually good and what's bad. And back to your point, Steph, podcast people just talking about the newest thing and this, that, and the other, and everybody just wants to do that. So we're in an interesting time in the health and wellness space just because of the evolution of the technology. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's some amazing things that have come out that we've been utilizing, like the Me Screen, the mitochondrial efficiency test that just came out of UC San Diego. We know Dr. Hemal Patel. He's becoming one of our colleagues, and we work with that company pretty close. They're the first mitochondrial efficiency test on a finger stick to be validated to a muscle punch.
I want to do that too.
Yeah, to a muscle punch biopsy. But also, it's how does that data
correlate to the
like how does it actually influence your normal blood work? Like how do you mesh the two together? Because like a lot of times in today's people are just pushing mitochondrial efficiency like too much to where it's a negative feedback loop to where like, well, I thought I was taking all these things and all these peptides to make my mitochondria better. It's like, well, actually homeostasis in your cells is really what you need to shoot for, and be resilient, not just push all the time. But so we started utilizing the Me Screen. My dad's been having it at the clinic, and it brings amazing value to really get into, because you haven't really been able to look at mitochondrial efficiency like through blood work for a long time, and now you're able to add those data points into it and really dial in even more than you were able to before. We're excited for that. We're hopefully going to be able to work with them on a bigger scale moving forward. But yeah, that's just one of the many tests that's coming out that's amazing.
I mean, that's definitely part of the whole being able to individualize now, and that's what cuts down so much on what you're taking, and going back to just taking what you really need to move the needle, like you mentioned earlier in the podcast. So we have a few quick hitting topics. So you right now, what's your most overrated performance trend?
Okay. I think I'm going to I might ruffle some feathers here.
The ruffle.
We like it.
Okay. I think cold plunge culture, not cold exposure, because there is value in cold exposure. We know that. We've seen the data. There's a lot of benefits of it, but I think the culture surrounding it, like just doing it to do it, like in the morning because it's hard, like does help activate, that frontal cortex, like when you do hard things, but you have to look at the timing of it. You have to look at what is your current nervous system state. Does it make sense for you to do it in the morning? We've seen some concerning blood work results, at least on the HPA axis side of things, on people doing it at the wrong time or too early in the morning. What's your cortisol diurnal pattern look like? Is it something that makes sense for you to do? Like if you do it post-training, we know now it blunts hypertrophy. But that could be a good thing because like Cal Dietz at Minnesota uses it post-training with some of his female athletes to keep that body weight to power ratio in where he wants it. Cool. So, there are some interesting ways that you can look at the timing of it. But I just think the culture surrounding it and just doing it to do it is, I don't want to say frustrating. It just is like, I want to know, like, do you deserve to do your cold plunge? Like, are you like that? That's not the first thing I would tell somebody to do. Like, if they're wanting to make a change, like, don't go spend, like, let's figure out some of the foundational rocks. Like, I'd rather you do sauna actually than like cold plunge. I mean, and then contrast, but contrast therapy is good. Like, there's data on that. Like, it's hard.
But what I find amazing about this one is like everything else, it's a stimulus.
Yeah.
You adapt to a stimulus.
Yep.
You're going to go in and you're going to do it every day for no particular reason. Okay, now you've adapted to that. So what can you now do to actually get that stimulus again? So you're just taking away a tool that could be used at a more appropriate time.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to like the recovery side of things. Like for the mental cognitive side, I'm not as sure. I'm not as up to date in that research, but on a recovery side, you do adapt to that and you no longer get the recovery benefit. So if people are doing that, say, in their off season, when they're trying to build resiliency, build as much hypertrophy as possible, and then they come to in season when they want to perform, but they're adapted to that stimulus already. They've taken away one tool that they could use at that time. It's like, all right, you're just putting the cart before the horse.
I think it's just understanding like the hormetic stress side of things. Like it's something that you use as a tool, but if you do it long term, you, like you said, you adapt to it and you don't get the same benefits. And that's, but like one thing that I think is interesting is like at these coffee and chills or whatever that are popping up, or like these wellness events where you go and drink iced tea with your friends and like eat kale salads. And like
I've missed that.
Like shots fired.
But they're cool because it creates a sense of community and purpose, and like there's a lot of really cool things that come from it. But like we're gonna have 20 cold plunges there. Like we're gonna all sit in the cold plunge together and suffer and have a good. Like it's just funny. Like what? Like why do we need to have cold plunges there? You know, we're doing it in the middle of the day. Like you know, but I do like there's a lot of people that are utilizing cold plunge pre-training now, and there's a paper recently that came out on the benefits of that. Like so, it's good. It's a tool. I just think the hype about it, the hype and the culture. Like you can get similar effects from doing a face dunk. You know, or like palm cooling. Like there's a lot of other ways like there's some amazing face dunk protocols out there that you can just get the same effects of a cold plunge, but you don't have to put your whole body in it. Like
Saratoga water.
Yeah, with Saratoga water. Yeah, but I will like my dad has Raynaud's, so like. If you have any sort of like circulation issues too, like there are some contraindications to cold plunge that like not everybody can do it. And they're like over a certain age, there is like a risk with if you do it too early in the morning with the changes in blood pressure sort of things. Like some people will throw a clot and if they take in a cold shower in the morning, like if you're over a certain age, you know, so there's.
And if you're cortisol dominant, I would think that's not.
Yeah, so it's interesting because we've seen it flatten some people, and some people it gives them like a artificial sort of cortisol, you know, with the sympathetic, you know, state that it puts you in the morning. So it's just interesting. We'll see where the research continues to go on it. Do I think it's valuable? Yeah, and in specific, you know, contexts and tools, but that's everything. Yeah. You know, there's no one cure-all. Like, yes, there's a lot of really cool tools out there that you just have to know how to utilize them and when. Yeah. And in the right people.
Yeah.
Just because you brought up pre-training, like it was about 2 years ago, we seen Ian Danny was using cold plunges pre-training. It's the first time I'd ever seen that in that context. And it's a really unique way of looking at that stimulus.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think that's... I also, one that I don't like that I'm seeing is... using professional athletes' injuries to push your method or your training style, and injuries happen. It's freaking professional sports. Like all you can do is put them in the best position to succeed and limit asymmetry. Do all the things that we know how to do in preventing. Not want to say preventing injury because it's not prevented. It's going to happen eventually. It's strong and resilient as possible. But when I see somebody doing a talking head Instagram because somebody tore their Achilles and it's like, well, did you see their angle of the blah, 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 this, that, and the other? Like, if you would have trained with me, like, that would have never happened. I think that is such a disservice to the industry. Yeah. I'm really, like, that grinds my gears.
That's what's so hard with our industry.
Like, in 2009, I trained this Major League Baseball player that he broke his right ankle playing, and then he was rehabbing, and then in the weight room he dropped the dumbbell on his left ankle and broke his left ankle. Yeah, before I trained. I was not training him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Porrick.
Context.
But my point with the story, like pro sports, you're going to get injured. Some of them are going to be fluke that are unpreventable no matter what. So the whole, like, the injury prevention, like, I've been around this for too long to believe that, like, you can build resiliency with proper training to decrease the incidence, but to prevent injury or to bulletproof an athlete, I do not.
That's Steph's
believe in.
least favorite term.
Impossible.
I
It's
don't
not
believe in that
reality.
concept.
Yeah, it's not reality. Unfortunately, I wish. Who knows? Maybe with the tech that we're talking about, in 10 years,
Quarterbacks will be
getting injured at all.
120.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people will be playing until they're 60. But who knows? We'll see where. It's just such a cool space, and but staying grounded in like
sound
exactly.
principles
is so important.
Yeah.
And that's like. What my dad's done. That's what I've learned from him. Is he was lecturing on adaptogens and like the what the heck? Why am I Relora and like all the like same nutrients that he's using now.
Quecom.
I've seen PowerPoints in his library from the 1980s and 90s making for CVS and Rite Aid and Procter and Gamble and Bayer. He's been speaking on the same stuff that he is today for a long time. He does, and don't get me wrong, new stuff comes out, vets the science. Do we evolve? Yes. But he has core principles that he believes in, and like he's been lecturing on his methodology to metabolic code since 1980, which is insane. Like it was about 40 years before like it got popular. And that's what I've learned from just stay true in who you are, what you believe in, and your sound principles. And that's, he's gotten amazing results with so many people. And like I've taken that like into my, I guess, running the business now. Like I have core principles that we need within the company, and then like, what we believe in as a company and the ethos that we've developed. It's
funny with the whole social media thing, because I know we were speaking before the podcast and I said, oh, it's nice to see your dad now on Instagram, because I've personally been working with him for like 10 years. I started when I was like 22, 21 years old. And like you're saying, he's been preaching so much of what we constantly hear now, but he's just hasn't been as active on social media. And then you and Joey were saying that's us running.
Yeah, so that was like as soon as I graduated, I was like, Dad, you're getting on everything. He's like, I haven't even searched my name on the internet. I'm like, you have hundreds of YouTube videos, like all these things. He just deserves to have a big platform.
Yeah,
he's done so much for the industry, and has sort of been one of those behind the scenes sort of bricklayers. And I'm like, there's too many people pumping bad stuff. Like people need to hear what you have to say, just because he's been doing it. Yeah. Like from the amount of stuff that he's done is he's like, oh, it's cool. We set up a new library in our new house. And as we were unpacking the boxes, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot I wrote that textbook, or I forgot I wrote this, or forgot I did that." And like, look, we have all of his like degrees and awards and everything that are up. And he's like, "It's really cool to like see what I've done." But also, he's like, "But it doesn't matter. It does matter, but it doesn't at the same time, because all that matters is how I'm impacting people now and how I'm continuing to do what I've done my entire career." So like he's really it's remarkable to learn from him as a son in that side of things, where it's like, yes, like really proud of what you have done, but how do you continue to like leave your mark and impact more and more and more?
And what's impressive about your dad that like I'm sure a lot of people don't know is like that to me is why he has an edge in the strength and conditioning field. Is not only is he a genius and like in anything metabolic, but I've seen pictures of your dad in his 20s. The dude was jacked out of his mind too. So like he's done it. Like he's trained. He's been through it. Like he understands what we're going through. So he's not just like a
holistic health.
Yeah, PhD.
And that's why he doesn't really like identify with functional medicine, because it's not what he does. He's a clinical pharmacist, clinical nutritionist. Like we see value in westernized, like in pharmaceutical, like because it's saved many of my family members' lives. Like we're really good at acute care. We're not great at keeping people well. And that's like what he does such an amazing job, is the integrative side of things. Like when you need to leverage those things, it's there, but our core is in blood work, diet, supplements, training, lifestyle. Yep. Do you need to leverage certain things at certain points? Yes. Are peptides valuable at certain points? Yes. Is hormone replacement valuable? Yes. Are those things valuable? 100%. And there comes a time where you have to get into those. But if you can just have your roots in the other stuff and really just look at how to get people well and how to make them feel better on a daily basis, like then how we talked earlier, then you can start doing the cool stuff. You can start pulling these different levers on things. And yes, he was jacked. Back to that. He was, but he moved Nautilus equipment for Arthur Jones, like in Cincinnati. Like they have this thing called the Kong Room, where it's basically all of their prototype machines, and that's where he trained with guys like Ken Wood and some amazing, like Ellington Darden was around, and like all these guys. Like he was training with like the OG Nautilus people and training on machines that people don't even know exist. And that's where he cut his teeth, was he trained like a madman. Like he really did back in the 80s, and he looked amazing. There's some pictures that I've seen that nobody else will ever see. But yeah, like he trained his ass off. He still trains his ass off to this day.
And he's how old now?
65.
Yeah, and he's super lean still.
Yep. And that's like one thing that a lot of people, he's like, if you are in the space, like you got to look the part. Yeah. Because if you don't look the part and you're not, and people find out if you're not walking the walk and talking the talk, you automatically lose, credibility. And, So, but also he loves it. Like me and him train together all the time. Like we get in there, push each other really hard. And I've learned how to adjust training from him, like through decade. Like he's like, my training in the 40s looks different than it did in the 50s and different. Like now it's in the 60s, and he did Pinoy, and he's like, I need to do more, zone 4 work and, all these things. So now he's getting more into the running and doing intervals at 65. Like he's like, and he's just adjusting to what he needs over time. So it's cool to see. I think I'm a little different just because I really, like, I got the collegiate strength conditioning experience, and he comes to me a lot. He's like, anything training, like I come to you. Just because, I love it. I really do love it. I have some amazing mentors on the strength conditioning side of things. So, yeah.
Ready?
Here we go. Next.
Supplement categories that you believe are underutilized in coaching.
We kind of touched on it, but I think adaptogens are underutilized. They're getting popular. Adaptogens are mushrooms. So like cordyceps, rhodiola, lion's mane, shiitake, maitake, schizandra. There's a lot of them. I think they are so important because everybody's so stressed out. Like I said, we live in that sympathetic dominant sort of society. Caffeine, screens, all these things. Being able to have things on board that help you adapt to stress is so important. Like I think, especially in athletes, I think some people are like scared to use them or something. Like they've been used for thousands of years. They were the most valuable herb.
They think they're going to trip.
They were like the most valuable herb, like in China. Like they traded for these adaptogens because they were so highly regarded. And I just think adaptogens in general is amazing to use. And they help athletic performance, oxygen utilization, stress response. There's so many categories that adaptogens influence that I think they're extremely underutilized. At least it's hard when you're on Instagram and your algorithm's tailored for you. You think everybody knows about them, but in reality, like they're not as widely used, and they're getting popular. Everybody's coming out with them, but I think they're really important.
I think it's hard with those like adaptogens is even if you see them on social media. I know my feed is probably similar because we're just getting what we're interested in. But the issue is just like that, the quality is not equal across the
100%.
industry.
100%. And that's that also is a big problem, like making sure you have the right fruiting bodies and the right standardization and, where are they coming from? That's all really important with adaptogens because you won't get much out of low-quality ones, but high-quality adaptogens and having the right mix of them together to where they work synergistically is also really important. So we're actually coming out with an adaptogen blend for Metabolic Elite, so in the next 3 to 4 months. So we're really excited for it because we have rhodiola in it, but it's going to be one that really pairs well with the Enduro because we have a really high dose of cordyceps. And there's a recent study that was like, 1 gram of cordyceps is really sort of where you have to be for athletic performance. And a lot of adaptogen products on the market are really underdosed. So we're excited for it. I also think a really new wave that's coming out is going to be mitochondrial, mitochondrial stuff.
You must know Anthony Castore?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So he, within our continuum, like our monthly education portal, his talk is on mitochondrial function.
Yeah,
so.
Mitochondrial function and how you support that is getting really popular. Making sure you're utilizing the right nutrients for that, like urolithin A is one that's really popular. That's great. But once again, homeostasis of your mitochondria is really important. So making sure it's able to be resilient, not overactive, not underactive. I have another one too. I think immunomodulators are really underutilized too, which is the Moducare. Same thing. Making sure your immune system is resilient to be able to adapt to stress and things that are happening on a daily basis. So like the Moducare that we sell through the Metabolic Code line, I think looking at the immunomodulator sort of section is something that is also really underutilized. That's something that I'll throw into really hard training cycles for people, or also when people are getting close to the Olympics or close to competition, when you're really pushing hard and then somebody gets sick, and then you're like going into a competition with a flu or something, throwing the immunomodulator in there to where you're keeping that immune system able to respond to whatever you throw at it. So it's not, a lot of times we're like, oh, I'll do high dose vitamin C, but at the same time, that's making your immune system overactive to where more food allergies may pop up or seasonal allergies may pop up then. So keeping the immune system at homeostasis, I think, is something really important for athletes that is extremely underutilized.
Yeah, like I don't think people realize how rundown athletes' immune systems are when they're at the peak of their fitness. Like their immune system has taken a beating up to that point, and so many of them actually are performing while they're sick because of that. So yeah, that's a huge factor.
Yeah, and that's one thing that we were talking about. I think that I see a little bit differently, that I value a lot when athletes are coming to me or other, like we preach that in our education and with our other coaches, that hey, the immune system, athletes get so broken down. And then also their gut gets broke down the harder they train. So if your gut's broken down and your immune system's fried, there's that's a slippery slope that you can go down. And it happens quick, like to where people start having GI issues and maybe they're not thinking as clearly anymore because that gut-brain axis, mental health, your serotonin and dopamine starts getting thrown off. It's a whole cascade of things that can go downhill pretty quick.
Next question. So one supplement you believe every coach misunderstands.
Oh, Lord. Misunderstands us.
Like misunderstands or misuses. Like, so, because we know, I find it's hard because we have our coaches a lot. They've been posting questions about which supplements to give. And a lot of our background, it was too much supplements.
Yeah, or it depends, which is another hard answer to give. You're like, well, it depends on the situation. I wrote down like berberine, but like a lot of coaches aren't using that. That's more like in what we do on the performance health, precision health.
So do you wish that coaches knew about that one?
No, because that can kind of be a slippery slope with athletes because it doesn't absorb well. That's why we used it in one of our LPTs. But also a lot of time it does help with substrate utilization, but it's mainly for people with glucoses and insulins that aren't functioning properly. And a lot of times I mean, a lot of athletes have dysregulated glucose and insulin, but they need to be able to utilize the carbohydrates that you're giving them. So that's not necessary unless it's somebody that has a really bad fasting glucose to where, it'll help them on their performance. I don't think it's something necessarily that's going to start being utilized in the performance space. But it's getting really popular. It's getting extremely popular. It's really beneficial, but it has to be able to be absorbed. And that's like the biggest issue with it in capsules right now is you're taking it, but you're not getting the benefit of it. I think my dad said it's like 0.3% absorbed or something in a capsule. Like so you're not really getting the benefits of it that, people say that they're getting. There's amazing research on it, and it's a really, really great natural compound if you can absorb it. But let me see. Let's see if I can come up with one. Misunderstood. My head goes to, I don't know why like amino acids are like popping up in my head, but because I love them. And I think people are starting on like
people are starting to
understand how to utilize them properly. For sure. Because like a lot of the like plant proteins on the market or like even beef protein, like the amino acid profile on it's not great. Yeah. Same
that
thing
broke Alex's heart.
Yeah.
I like the beef protein, and then when I realized there wasn't enough leucine, I was like, dang it.
Yeah, so I think
some way to it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Or just add, unflavored aminos to, or just. It's really important to complete your amino acid profile post, like whenever you're using, post training. A lot of people sometimes use it pre-training. So I think that's really important. Is just understanding like you have to hit a certain amino acid profile to get the benefits of, sometimes even BCAA or EAA products aren't dosed the right way. Like there are levels to like amino acid supplementation for sure. But I think that's important. I don't know. I don't know.
You provided an answer.
Yeah, I gave an answer on that one. That's a tough question.
Let's see oh wow, we're at an hour 20. Okay. It's been easy with you.
That's good.
So
keep going. I don't know the next time I'm going to be back. Let's make the most of it.
So as I'm sure you believe in, as I know your dad pushes a lot of recovery. So for you, what's your biggest personal indicator if your recovery is out of whack?
I get sick.
Okay.
Yep.
Like if I'm not sleeping enough and my recovery's out of whack, I start to get sick. Yep. And that's if I'm not sleeping well, that's a big one for me. But another one for me is like when my mind's quiet. And like I'm in a good state and like my output is like not forced, like I'm able to just get stuff done. And I think that's one of the things that I've really been prioritizing the last couple of years is like emotional recovery and emotional balance more than anything. Like because if physiologically I could be recovered, but if my mind and my emotional state is not recovered or I'm not in the right state of mind, or if I'm overwhelmed or like I may not get what I need to out of a training session. Or so if I work on my emotional state and I work on, everybody's talking about state changing now, which has been around for forever. But if I'm in the right state of mind and like I'm really working on like my mindfulness and a lot of those things, because that's one thing that I've put a ton of value in the last couple of years is that.
And what do you do to help yourself find that?
Well, I have a really good support system around me, so I'm able to like offload a lot of my stuff to parents, girlfriend, friends, things like that. But I do a lot. Like it's hard with work. I work all the time. Like work doesn't really turn off. But like if I notice myself getting overwhelmed or I'm not productive, I'm just sitting at my desk not doing anything, I know to step away. Like go take a walk. Go get out of the environment and go do something else. Or if I'm like, it's been a really long week, I'm going to take a half day on Friday. Yeah. Like just understanding that I'll get more done if I just take that break, and I think increasing the productivity, any way you can find to do that is really, really important because everything in today's like, if you're not doing it, like you're behind, unfortunately. And that's a really sort of interesting place to like keep your mental state in. Like you're not always behind. You're not like it's not going to burn to the ground in 30 minutes where you go take your walk, or it's not going to burn to the ground in half a day. Yeah, you might have to put out a fire or something like that, but that's part of being an entrepreneur and part of owning a business.
Yeah.
I think it's that balance, because one thing, going back to like the cultures we see all the time, I personally don't like the culture of the trying to disregard hustle and hard work and pushing, because I find that there are times where you put more work in, you're trying to push, but then it's that balance of being like, okay, now take a little bit of a break. And then it's not that you're getting right back to this insane hustle and grind. It might just be a little bit more level, but it's fine to hustle sometimes, to work a little bit harder.
100%. And I think right now, especially for young like entrepreneurs, there's this sort of concept floating around right now, like the 20s should be the worst time of your life because all you're doing is grinding, like to make a ton of money. And I was like, I see it differently. Yes, you're in a point of time where you can be more resilient with less sleep, and you can adapt to sort of these physiological and mental stressors easier. But it's like bad habits to me. Like you're setting up bad habits for like when you have a family, like you're not able to, come off of work and enjoy your family and enjoy your friends, where you're just building these habits of just all I care about is work, grind. But also some of your best relationships come in your 20s. Yeah. Some of your friends that you stay with for the rest of your life, some of my best friends I've met in my 20s. I experienced college. I had an amazing time playing Division I sports, and I worked my ass off at Texas Tech with being a GA and a research assistant, but at the same time, I didn't put more value in one or the other because it's all important. It's relationships are important, balance is important. Yes, work's important, but really in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It is, but it's not. It's your way of life. It's how you sustain your livelihood, right? It's what you do to make money. Yes, you love it and you have a passion for it.
I was going to say, we're all fortunate because we're in something we're passionate about.
We all love it. Yeah, we're all passionate for it, but it's just an interesting concept that's been popping up like on social media of like telling people in their 20s to like not enjoy it, and just all you need to do is work.
Gary Vee's kind of the opposite of that, because he's like, it doesn't need to be that, and then you can do the same thing in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and still do something huge.
But I like your point. I think it's very wise for a point coming from a 26-year-old, because it's true. It's a very interesting like attitude to have, to like leverage your 20s to build the routine so that you can be more productive later on. I think that's a really smart way to look at it.
Yeah, and I think it's honestly just passed down wisdom from my parents and the mentors that I'm around, because I'm learning from people like yourselves that have been in the game for so long, been in the performance health, been in training for 20, 30, 40 years, whatever it may be. And being able to learn from people like that and then pass on the wisdom from what I've learned to other people my age is, I like to try to help as many people out my age as possible. But, yeah.
I have one more question and then we'll wrap up this episode. So one thing you've changed your mind about in our industry in the last year?
Oh, man. I think it goes back to like how important emotional regulation is for performance. Like that's really, especially with sort of the issues that we've seen around, mental health in collegiate sports and professional sports, and some of the horrible things that have happened with athletes, and like you don't really understand how much weight it's putting on somebody like to perform at a high level or like, and things like that. So I think really just emotional intelligence for sure, and we've always been in, how do we dial in, the blood work, the supplements, the diet, all that. It's all important, but being able to handle emotional load, cognitive bandwidth, and, recovery of your mind, utilizing things like binaural beats and, it's guided, sort of, like guided meditation and like mindfulness. I'm not a big journaler, but like that's all really important, and it plays a huge role in how you perform on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're at your sort of limits mentally, you can only, perform so well. Like if you're just worried about everything outside of, what I'm doing out the field or the court that day, it can be detrimental to your performance on the field or the court, whatever you're doing. And that was one thing I preached as a GA. Obviously, I'm just a GA. Like, don't really have a ton of influence. I do, but one thing I always push to the guys was like, take advantage of your sports psychologist. Take advantage of the things that you have at the collegiate level, because the things that they're able to teach you as far as like framing and how to look at adversity and how to look at this or how to look at that is only going to set you up better for life. Because life does not stop lifing. You're always you're always being hit with something, at whether it's business, family, friends. There's always something happening, and if you can create really good emotional habits while you're either performing or in the gym or whatever it may be, the better you're going to be able to respond to adversity, throughout life. So that was one thing that I sort of changed my mind on, was the value of sports psychology for sure.
Because I think it was Brian Mann that did the study, and if it wasn't him, it was definitely him I heard talking about the study. But they've shown recently that injury rates were just as high during college students taking their finals as it was during their highest training load part of the season. So stress is stress. Like the body doesn't know any different. So you have to deal with whatever stressors you're currently imposed on you, or whatever way you want to look at it.
It makes me think of Simone Biles, right? She is the best gymnast we've ever seen. Had like just top shape form and wasn't able to compete at the Olympics because of emotional, too much stress, whatever. And then the next 4 years, then she really worked with like a sports psychiatrist and everything, and then came back and like killed it again.
Yeah.
So
that's like the best thing I've done for myself was started doing therapy over the last few years. Like that, there's so many things I didn't know I was holding on to, like that I was able to like release and like talk about. And you just have to be willing and open to talk about it. Like I feel like that stigma of, you're mentally weak or you're whatever, you're, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, like, it's so important to be able to talk with somebody and have them help you how to handle emotional stress. Because just the way we handle we have certain ways we handle physical stress, with training modalities and methodology and nutrients, diet, Prolon. But it's different for the brain, and it's different for your emotional. So learning how to handle physical and emotional stress, if you can do that, you're going to be worlds above majority of the people.
I think that's a great way to wrap up this episode. That was incredible. That was a really fun episode. That was a pleasure having you. Do you have something you want to say?
Yep. Well, I just, because, usually you say, do you have anything to add? I just want to say that for the younger coaches, like one really, it has nothing to do with supplements or anything like that, but one thing you said that I think to me is really, really important, I hope that young coaches register this, is if you're dealing with youth athletes, the best thing is to focus on mobility.
Yep.
Like this goes along with Frank Dick's hierarchy of athletic skills. Like mobility is in the middle, is at the core, and then speed, strength, endurance surrounds it. So if you can leverage this in their youth, so that once they get into college, they can actually train properly and really push. Yep. I think that's huge, especially now kids sitting all the time.
On their phones.
Their posture is bad. Their ability to move is bad.
So bad.
Yeah.
That's one thing. That's the one thing that I like. I sit at a desk all day, and next thing you know, I notice myself like this thing, like getting your head back over your. But that's a great point. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any final words you'd like to share?
No, I think it was an amazing conversation. Just want to say thank you again for having me on the show. Hopefully, maybe next time will be come back and bring my pops. We'll do
Yeah,
one
that would be
together.
Yeah.
cool. Yep.
I think that'd be fun.
And then I will drop all of the links to Metabolic Elite, your personal Instagrams, everything, your dad's Instagram in the below. But do you want to share the website or any information?
Yeah, so you can go visit our website at www.metabolicelite.co, and then my Instagram will be in the bio and then or in the description, and my dad's will be in the description too. His is the real Jim LaValle. You can go follow him. I was gonna say mine, but I forgot it for a second. I was like, "What is?" I've changed it a couple.
LaValle 5,
Christian
isn't it?
LaValle 5, I think is it. Go follow.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Christian. We'll see you next week on Between Two Racks. Ding.